On today's show, the San Diego Padres unfortunately lose twice on Monday, not just by the scoreboard 4-3, but also in the form of Jason Adam, one of their best relievers, suffering a very horrid injury. And folks, the vibes are very bad.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Padres podcast, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for Tuesday, September 2nd. As always, I'm your host with sometimes the most, Javier Reyes, and I've been covering this team for almost 6 years now, not just for this podcast, but various other outlets, including JustBaseball.com, chief among them. Today's episode, guys, is brought to you, though, by FanDuel. Football season is right around the corner, so visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Remember, you can check me out on social, specifically just right now on the YouTube. Go check out Locked On Padres on YouTube. Leave your comments in the comments on any video, frankly, and I'll get notifications for them to have your chance to be answered here on the show. Questions, comments, or concerns as I take my social media hiatus. Today, we're going to talk about yesterday's game, talk about the biggest problem with the Padres right now, and answer a couple more questions that we missed from yesterday's show. So, fun, full house of a show. Fully served. We've got, the sides, the appetizers. We've got some nice drinks, some nice Aperol Spritz. I don't know. I'm not a fan of those things necessarily. They're fine. They're fine. But I hear everybody talk about them these days. So you got a full course meal today of Padres goodness. And we're going to be a little bit more positive today because despite the loss, I just want to get a little bit away from the Luis Arráez haterade, which I stand by in terms of my stance, maybe not necessarily all my attitude that I've been talking about on the last few days. The everydayers, the Locked On Padres everydayers know what I'm talking about. But I don't want to kill Arráez only, right? Because the bottom line is, to a degree, he's not even the biggest problem right now. He's just the biggest problem that I think they have that they could fix, right now. You know what I mean? That doesn't have anything to do with how they're playing or injuries. But the Padres losing this first game of the series to the Orioles 4-3. Dylan Cease, let's start with him. 4 innings, 2 earned runs on 5 hits, 2 walks, 7 Ks. I will say there was a play that Manny Machado probably could have had, a ball that bounced through. Not the best defensive effort from the Padres last night. Not necessarily bad errors or plays that they 100% should have had, but the things that if you dive deeper into some advanced stats, you'll see. Machado letting a ball get past him that kind of shouldn't have. Jose Iglesias, the same thing. Not the best defensive performance, so there were some balls that got through. But for me, yeah, not bad from Dylan Cease. Let's say if we shave off 1 run there. But bottom line is he still only went 4 innings. And that's what's killing the Padres, right? Is that they just cannot get consistent starting pitching from literally anybody right now. And the one guy that we might be able to get that from is on the IL, of course, in Mr. Michael King. But in terms of the offense, I got to give a shout out to the guy that I've been hating, Luis Arráez, right? One of the only good things that happened yesterday. 3 for 4 last night with an RBI. He gets one in the bottom of the second inning, bringing in Jake Cronenworth. So that's just a funny little, we've been arguing a little bit over the last week. Big Jim is probably talking about it on his postcast. You know what I mean? Everybody stay tuned for that after every game. He did one last night after the game as well. But really, really cool from him. Ramon Laureano at the bottom of the 5th inning ties the game with a single. And that's basically it. Manny Machado 0 for 4. He continues to be genuinely bad for a long time now. His month of August was really horrid. Again, it's not something that I'm going to be bringing up as super intently, right? Just because this is a guy who basically carried the Padres offense for the majority of the season when nobody was hitting very good. But a 590 OPS in August is genuinely anemic, right? This is really, really bad after 4 months of good ball to see Machado kind of torpedo his season, obviously not intentionally like this. Hopefully he can get it together, but it has not looked good. And maybe that's just the factor of him getting old, right? That's the thing. I thought that Manny Machado still had MVP form in him. I think to a degree he has all-star still in him, clearly. But man, has he been really struggling lately. And he got a little bit robbed in this game. One of the hardest hit balls of the night. In fact, the 4th hardest, 103.8 miles per hour off the bat. Line out over Dylan Beavers. It looked like it was going to be a hit, but it's not. I thought it was going to get over. He made good contact. So hopefully the good contact is a sign that maybe he's going to have a really nice finish to the season in September. But that was unfortunate. And according to Baseball Savant, it had an expected batting average of 500. So yes, he did get pretty robbed there. But overall, man, what I'm looking at with this Padres team is just unable to get everything that they need, right? Because their whole lineup is hurt, right? We had Bryce Johnson playing today. We had to have Will Wagner pinch it for Freddy Fermín. in this one. You had Gavin Sheets go 0 in this one, except he had a walk. You had Luis Arráez bat leadoff, right? And 3 for 4 in this game. He gets 3 hits. He actually gets a strikeout to end the game. And some of you might be thinking, oh, Javi's going to kill him for this. I actually didn't buy that. I actually thought it was kind of, look, I try to find the joy in things. Thought it was just kind of funny. Like, as much as I've been complaining about Luis Arráez, for him to strike out to end the game, but it's really not his fault because he was 3 for 4 on the night, and it was his first time batting leadoff in a while, probably of the season, dare I say. So maybe not of the season. Don't quote me on that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm not blaming him for that. Bottom line is he had a good game, and it's tough. It's a tough thing to be in, right? He's been batting second. He had the day off. He's had a lot of slander lately, but comes in, has a nice game, all things considered. It's just funny that it was a strikeout, right? Not that he was out, but it was a strikeout specifically because he never does that, right? So that was just, I found it like almost the universe like making a funny little joke of some sorts. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't, and I'm just being overly ridiculous right now. But yeah, this is just not great. With Xander Bogaerts out for the rest of the regular season, probably with Jackson Merrill thankfully making an appearance in this game as a pinch runner, suggesting that he's probably coming back soon, which is great. They need him. And even though Jackson Merrill has not been very good this year, they just need guys to get healthy. I talked with my boy Karthik Venkatraman on Friday, and he was texting me over the course of this game, CBS 8 Sports anchor, go check that out, everybody. He was texting me like, oh my God, did we curse the Padres? Specifically me, because he talked about on Friday how one of his big questions for the Padres is can they stay healthy, because we saw the Merrill injury, we've seen a couple, right? We've seen the fact that Michael King got hurt, and then what happens ever since then? They lost Xander Bogaerts to injury, and Jason Adam, the story of the game, after throwing a pitch, the ball gets like hit somewhat towards him, a little bit more to his left, and he kind of clutches at that leg, falls to the ground. They need to bring out the cart, right, for him, and that was a mess, obviously. So really bad. And then what happens after the game via Mike Schilt, suffered a quad tendon rupture. So it looked bad. It looked like the type of injury as someone who's a basketball watcher, right? Like I've just kind of used to seeing like these injuries that don't look bad because you don't see like contact. It's like a little bit of a non-contact injury, but you see the way the leg like stumbles. It looked like he popped something, and it looks like he did, right? So I'm expecting the worst. Jason Adam out for a while, probably out for the season would be my initial, estimation. I don't even have to look up any of the latest updates. That's probably what's going to happen. Yes, it's true that their bullpen is great and can survive it, but let me tell you guys, they're really having a lot of issues when it comes to the entirety of this team, with injuries, with the way that they're playing. And even though they do have some light opponents, this is starting to become a problem. And while I still think that this is a playoff team, they are limping, I tell you, limping to the finish line. And man, the end of the season cannot come soon enough. But folks, you know what can come soon enough? I think that's the way you phrase it. It is our friends over at Prize Picks, because they are helping you out when it comes to all the football goodiness, which is going to start this week. It is the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. It's great, guys. You know what I mean? You want to go Josh Allen more or less than 270 yards, right? Me personally, it's against the Ravens. It's going to be a barn burner. Sunday Night Football, baby. That's going to be a good game. Yeah. Do you want to be that person betting under on Josh Allen? You don't want to do that, right? But that's just one example. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go check out the app, guys. Download it and use the code Locked On MLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Locked On MLB for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And folks, we're not done yet. We also got to talk about our friends over at the Fandom of Dueling. Right? That's right, everybody. FanDuel, the NFL season almost here, like we talked about, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready to kick off with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, right now, check this out. $5 is all you have to bet, and if your first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So, are you ready to play? Go check it out, guys. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. All your parlays, all your prop bets, everything is available on FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Go and check that thing out. And just like that, everybody, we are back here on the Locked On Padres podcast, thriving and vibing despite it all. Let me just tell you guys one more important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started, and everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. It'll take you a second. You might get that gift card. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. But you know who hasn't been helping us out lately? The Padres starting pitching, folks. Let me tell you. We already talked about this in the first segment, but I just need to reiterate. They haven't had a quality start in more than a week, and they're the only major league team to do that. And it's really rough seeing guys like Freddy Fermín being pinch hit for, and he threw out a runner today. I think he got some strikes that shouldn't have been strikes for Dylan Cease and for the rest of that bullpen that had to work overtime in today's game, right? This bullpen, you had to see Suarez in like the 7th inning of this one, right? And we already talked about the Jason Adam injury. Adrian Monajon gives up a run, but part of me is like, well, the poor guy's coming in the 5th. He's not used to it. And you guys might be wondering, well, why is he using those guys? Why is he deploying them like this? Because they haven't gotten a quality start in more than a week, right? The Nestor Cortez ejection on Friday, forget that he didn't necessarily have a great game. Him not coming in to just fill in innings really hurts this team, right? You cannot approach this team this way, despite all the great bullpen arms that they do have. Now might not have Adam anymore, right? They're overworking the bullpen. Do I think it's a sign from the universe that Jason Adam also got hurt when we're having this discussion of how much they're overworking the bullpen? Not necessarily, but I know some other people have already, and they're saying, see, look, we're just tempting the litigious fates, not in our favor. That was an advanced SAT word out of nowhere. But, flex, I guess. But either way, what we're looking at is a team that just cannot put together quality starts. The only one that you can trust is Pivetta, and he only went five finally for him. So just really, really not that great for this Padres team. And when you look at those other guys, by the way, who they gave up for Freddy Fermín, who again was being pinch hit for. I like his defense. I know that they had to do the trade. They had to. Right? But Freddy Fermín is still a guy that throughout his career so far has basically just been a really good backup that the Padres need to now be the starter because they were horrid behind the plate. But he's getting pinch hit for, and Stephen Kolek in his first start for the Royals, you know what he did? 6 innings, 1 earned run this past Saturday. And then you know what Stephen Kolek has done? Here are his 5 starts since being traded, right? 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 5 1/3, 1 earned run, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Hasn't gone less than 5 1/3 ever since, right? Like, he's just been filling innings. That trade might be one that we come back on and say, look, they had to do it, but man, you gave up the backbone of this rotation that was really, really producing, and they just haven't got that out of JP Sears or Nestor Cortez or Yu Darvish or whoever consistently enough, and it's killing them, right? Now, Dylan Cease is killing the team too, but it's also really hurting the fact that they can't get any sort of consistency from the starting pitching. I don't care how good your bullpen is. It has not been great. It's just been bad. It's just been bad. I actually just forgot to mention, by the way, my apologies, and everybody might think I'm hating still, but Luis Arráez last night, his 1,000th career hit, quite the accomplishment. Very, very cool moment for Arráez. Again, I can't wait to see what he gets paid in the offseason. I personally think it's not going to be very much. I think major league teams are going to say he's on his 2nd straight year of not looking very good. His expected stats are worse this year than it was before, despite the fact that he got his thumb surgery and that he should have been healthier. He doesn't add anything defensively, doesn't give you speed, doesn't walk. I don't think he's going to get paid a lot. Let me tell you, though, he's going to be an interesting free agent. Because you basically might just be betting on a guy to be an above average bat for like $7 million a year for 2 years. So he's actually going to be an interesting free agent for a lot of people, I think, next year. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does well, let's say, on a bad team, and then he gets flipped at the deadline. So I'm curious to see what Arráez. This will not be the end of Luis Arráez. And also on top of the 1,000th hit, I didn't mention on yesterday's show, but Friday's game, he also got really robbed, in which the Padres lost that game by 1 run. And he had a really nice hit right at the end of that game that had a 610 expected batting average, but just happened to get hit right towards the first baseman. So Arráez, maybe having that day off, maybe being moved around more in the lineup. Like, let's just try things, Schilt. That's all I'm asking for. If we're willing to pinch hit for Fermín immediately after seeing some bad stuff, maybe after a month and change, dare I say even a year and change in some ways, we could start toying around and using Arráez and deploying him in different ways. It's good for both sides, both the team and him himself. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to answer some remaining questions that I had from yesterday's mailbag that I thought were very fun. One of them we got from about a week ago, which was from @elnavales, which says, I always wonder if a new player can change the Padres, or will the Padres change the player? Tatis, Soto, Arraez, Merrill, they all changed the Padres at first, but then their production all dipped after spending a little time here. As my East Coast friend described, the San Diego Sun turns you lazy. I always wondered if that were true. This is hilarious. I don't know if there's any merit to this necessarily, but I do think it is fun, and it is something that I definitely can't immediately dispute, because it has been true that the Padres haven't made too many batters better offensively. This has been a common theme for a while, and that's one of the reasons that I like giving Ruben Niebla praise, because we have seen that the pitching side of things, you have seen people come to the Padres and get better, right? Look at Seth Lugo, right? A guy who turned starting pitcher, was awesome for us, went and got a contract elsewhere. Michael Wacha had a great year, got another contract, wasn't as great elsewhere, but they did get good value out of him. Martin Perez last year in the second half was really good value. You saw what Stephen Kolek and Ryan Bergert were able to do, and now the Royals have them, unfortunately. Dang. I'm hoping the Royals haven't discovered, hey, go get these Padres pitchers, because they've been doing that lately, right? That you've seen them have a lot of luck there. But with offense, it's true. Like, Luis Arráez was a 3.5 WAR player, hitting 345. Genuinely a really good player, even if it was just singles. He was so good that year with Miami, and even the year before. And then he comes to the Padres, and not so much. Right? Is it because people caught on to him? I don't know, but bottom line, not as much. Soto really struggled that first year with the Padres. I get what you're saying. I don't know if it's the weather. I really don't. I think that it's just when it comes to offense, we've seen that they just have not developed nearly as well. But it's really fun to consider that as a possibility. Phoenix Ash 927 says, this weekend hurt, but it's still okay. 2 out for the division, 3 for a first round bye. That being said, we need to get healthy fast, or we will be traveling for the first round of the postseason. With regards to Arraez, with Bogey and Merrill out, I think we have to keep him in at 2. I love having O'Hearn at 4 and Laureano at 5. And the only other people I'd put in at 2 are Merrill and Bogey. Luckily, we're back home tonight, which we ended up losing this game. 10-3 over the next 13 very winnable games. And then hopefully I can watch the Padres clinch the playoff berth when I go see them beat the Mets, sir. And I might be joining you. We'll see, Mr. Phoenix Ash, if I end up going to that game. But more importantly, I think you raise a good point, which is just the Arraez batting order thing officially does not matter for a little bit, right? Like, again, me personally, I don't think Merrill has played this year in a way that suggests I'm as confident putting him number 2, but I personally would move Arraez down in the order, literally just for sake of trying something new, right? But 3 for 4 game yesterday, I'm just saying that it's kind of a moot point now, because the bigger thing right now is the fact that everybody's dropping like flies, right? I'm hoping that Tatis is going to be back with pinch running Merrill last night. Hopefully that is a sign he'll be in tonight's lineup. You get 2 guys back, and that's going to be a big deal. Can Merrill, with what has been a season that's been so tough for him, can he bounce back and be strong? We'll have to see, folks. We will have to see. But one thing you don't have to see about, one thing that is just fact, is that our friends over at Upside, ladies and gentlemen, they're here to give you cash back. Because, man, if you're still paying full price for gas, stop leaving money behind, man. And when you use the free Upside app, you get real cash back every time you fill up. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents per gallon back on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's legit, man. And guess what? You can cash it too. Anytime you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. See what they did there. Download the free Upside app now using my limited promo code. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. I want to make sure that you guys understand the deal that you're getting here, man. Limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Go check it out. And just like that, everybody, we are back here on the Locked On Padres podcast, thriving and vibing in a little bit of a lighter, better mood. Try not to think about Arraez. Just try to just smile through it all, despite all the pain, I guess you could say. Remember, everybody, go check out the YouTube as well, and vice versa, depending on what platform you choose, and leave comments on the YouTube, because I am currently on a social media break. Who knows when he'll return? But they always come back, don't they? You know, the Batman came back, so Javier Reyes is going to come back. Anyway, back to some of the questions that we got from you guys over the last week or so. Tony Sue sent in a response talking about the bullpen, which he thought, look, a lot of questions about the bullpen, but let me be the first in the round. They don't just have a formidable bullpen. There are enough relief pitchers to nearly populate 2 bullpens. No. Right? Like that's a lot, but I get what you're saying. It is true. The bullpen, even before the Jason Adam injury, is a big deal. The first principle of using a bullpen is that unless you're preparing for something really big and important in the next series, you have to use the bullpen like there is no tomorrow. You have to play for today and let tomorrow be whatever fate determines. Schilt is saving pitchers for the next game without possibly knowing whether that game will need relief pitchers. So, first of all, everybody, don't listen to this advice, because you can't operate as if games don't matter the next day, because you have to prepare for Dylan Cease potentially doing what he always does, which is only going 4 innings. Because if you use up all those best guys, guess what? If the game is tied 3-3, we're only going to have Wandy Peralta, Yuki Matsui, and Alec Jacob. And I'm not trying to roast those guys, but I'm just saying the unproven lower leverage guys. So that's just categorically false. And without possibly knowing whether the game will need relief pitchers. Yeah, but that's almost always you're going to need relief pitchers. This isn't the 60s, right? Where you knew that starting pitchers were going to go 7 innings like every time, right? So anyway, secondly, the Padres have strong enough relief pitchers to nearly field a fresh staff every other day, but not quite. To address this, Schilt is already missing, and Peralta, missing, I don't know if you meant using or misusing, but there is another thing that can be done, which is to ask relief pitchers to pitch extra outs, maybe up to an extra inning each outing. But at least in this game, I think blah, 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 and that was something specific to before. This is a horrible idea, Tony Sue, I'm sorry. But like, if you want to, you cannot have, with the uncertainty of the starting pitching staff, you can't just be like, hey, Mason Miller, go pitch 2. Guess what happens if you do that? You don't get him at all the next day. You know what I mean? Then you're just going to lose more starting pitchers. Instead, you use Mason Miller one day. If you only use him for 1 inning, you can maybe have him come in for another inning the next day if need be, and then you won't get him the 3rd day, but just give him a day off and he might be available again. Instead of just making it that you are actively hurting yourself, because then what happens, right? The starting pitching has not given them enough. If the starting pitching was consistently giving them even 5 innings, right, but 6 innings, then yeah, you would be able to use this bullpen a lot more aggressively. But the idea of Tony Sue, it just feels like a lot of this guy's comments, everybody, and I know that a lot of you see them because I see some of you respond. It feels a little word salad to me. You're just saying things to say things. No, the first rule of using a bullpen in baseball is not operate as if nothing matters going forward. That's actually categorically untrue. It's insane. That's insane to do. Like, you're telling me the beginning of the season, if your pitcher goes 3, like when Michael King only went 2 innings, you want us to use Robert Suarez in the 4th? And then use Yuki Matsui and all these guys. That way, you're in a position where the next day, you basically need your starter to go 6 innings. But what if they can't? What if they have a bad start? That's not how you do it. You have to use your lower leverage guys first, and then use your high leverage guys. But whatever. Just wanted to address that. I thought this comment was funny at KC_M. If Sheets is sat, a pot of barrel was heard that the Padres are not serious about winning. I also liked Ramon where he was in the lineup despite all the noise from other fans about moving him up. We've had really good production from the bottom half of the lineup, especially with him down there to drive in guys. Manny is on the struggle bus right now, but I do believe he'll snap out of it soon. Genuinely worried about our rotation, obviously the weakest link, and by a lot, we shall see. I actually agree with you. I actually thought that the Laureano thing was like, he's been so good, I kind of don't want to mess with that. Should they move him up in theory? Of course. He's been a better player in nearly every way than Arráez, and frankly, even like a Tatis and a Manny, right? Like, he's been better than everybody, basically. And I still stand by my belief that O'Hearn could be interesting in that 2 spot. But for me, it's less about that. It's more about, let's just move Arráez down. Let's try him at different spots because he's literally been better throughout his career in not the 2-hole. Right, guys? Like, we have the numbers. WRC Plus, which I love using, because it takes into account the ballpark dimensions, whether enough guys were getting lucky, whether or not they were getting unlucky, right? Like, if they were in a super pitcher-friendly park, this number gives you just a solid number to go by. 100 is average, and everything above that is above average, right? And vice versa, below average. And Luis Arráez, for his career, right? Actually, when he hits second, it's one of the worst, like, spots in the lineup for him, if you look at his career. Specifically, batting first, he has, in his career, and I'm not saying WRC Plus is everything and beyond everything. It's just an example. He has a 118 WRC Plus batting first and a 105 WRC plus batting second. Do you know what he has elsewhere? He has a 137 batting third, a 111 batting fourth, and here's the magic number. A 150 WRC plus, 50% better than the league average. That is MVP number, WRC plus there, for the 5th spot. So that's what I'm saying. The second spot, quite literally, with the exception of like near the bottom of the order, which you would never do, at 8 or 9, and I'm not necessarily saying that I'm in favor of that, I think they should bat him 5th. Let's try it out. Can we just try it out? We've got a month left. That's all I'm asking for. Do I sound crazy, everybody? Please let me know in the comments if I sound crazy. I'm just looking at the numbers, right? Batting 3rd and 5th seem to be his best spots. Yeah, he's always batting 2nd. I just would try something else. I really would. I really, really would. But what do I know? I'm just doing nothing, I guess, in my in my room. But also Tony Sue made a good comment. He said the trade, let's talk about the rest of the acquisitions for the Padres at the deadline, right? He kind of went over them. O'Hearn and Laureano obviously have been very good, but he brought up the trade for Fermín from Kansas City may have sunk the Padres this year, although may still be a solid trade over the entire life of his contract in San Diego. Although Freddie hit well in his arrival, he's cooled off considerably since then, and I don't know if I'm alone in questioning how he calls games, whether he has done enough to learn the Padres pitching staff and plays defense. He has tools and potential, but to me, he looks like what he was in KC, a backup catcher still learning his craft, and that has made the Padres pitching staff less effective when he's catching. Now, I disagree with the last part of what you're saying. I think that defense, it's good that he's been able to throw out some runners. It's good that runners aren't running on him, and he's not letting pass balls go by, which is what Maldonado was doing, and he's stolen some strikes, right? He's actually a much better framer than both Diaz and Maldonado. If you look at Baseball Savant, he's much better in his framing value. Not elite, but he's better, just empirically. But I do agree with you that we're going to have to see, like, over the course of a full season if he can be better. But Cortez has not been great. Sears, as you mentioned, and then as I mentioned earlier in the show, Berger and Kolek have been awesome. So we're going to have to see. The Padres are badly missing their presence. Even in the couple games Sears and Cortez had good results, their pitching was knocked around pretty good, but the Padres defense held up. Not a single game pitched by them has been a game of bad contact or missed bats. Every game has been an adventure regardless of the bat, except for that one Cortez start. The one Cortez start where he had like one hit allowed and that was it. But I agree, man. I agree. I think that this has just been really, really tough. I think that the Fermín trade, we're going to have to hope. It's one of those, though, that looking back, you know, hindsight is 20/20, but clearly there's got to be something up with Luis Campusano that he's just a total bust, totally bad, that they were like, we can't even take the chance bringing this guy up. So they kind of had to do the trade. And I think that the Royals, it's one of those times where you have to say Preller might have gotten a little bit, not fleeced, but they definitely drove a hard bargain, right? They took advantage, supply and demand. They were like, we know you badly need a catcher. Well, we're going to make you overpay. I bet you Preller was like, I'd rather only give up one of those guys. And they were like, well, we need both or else you're not getting a catcher at the deadline. And he said, dang it. Like, if we really want to win it all, I'm going to have something better than the Elise Diaz and Martin Maldonado combo. But yeah, last thing with the Tony Sue comment, I think the defense has been okay. Still working with the pitch staff. We'll have to see. But we'll see. We'll see. But I do not think he's been bad necessarily. And at the very minimum, you cannot say he's been bad and then not address how bad Maldonado especially was for the majority of the season. Literally being good for negative wins above replacement. Like by negative 1.1, I think was his number. That's incredibly bad for a catcher. Like, that's impressive, actually. But, folks, with all that being said, that about does it for today's edition of the Locked On Padres podcast, the only pod that may be better than the Padres themselves. Remember to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. We're going to respond to one more question tomorrow. Maybe talk a little bit more Luis Arráez talk, because why not? It's been the thing lately that I've been doing. And we're going to be recapping the game as well. Hopefully it's a W, and hopefully Merrill and Tatis are in the lineup healthy, and hopefully they can get a quality start. It's been a week. My God. And until that next time, stay safe and stay faithful. My Friday Faithful homies, take care.